Alright, let's talk about life. Welcome back to the Stack Deck. We're playing some more Cyberpunk 2077 on the Nintendo Switch 2. I have an L8 Zero Sugar. It was given to me because someone, bought them for the first time because they never tried them. I like it's called L81, but it's pronounced L81. And they're made in Louisville. I didn't try them until the Wolf Den told us to try them. Will Wolf and Bob Wolf. They're in New York and they don't have them there. But they make them in Louisville and we have them over here. So I got the normal ones in the bottle. It's the nastiest, best drink I've ever had. It's weird. It's ginger ale if it tasted like a lot more ginger than just ginger ale. And it's not for everybody. It's one of those things, like, when I tried it, it was like, I drank one, I was like, this is kind of nasty. And then I drank a second one, and it's like, yeah, it's not that good. And then you keep drinking them, and then you buy another 6-pack. It is what it is. Ginger ale, it's weird, but it's like, it's not sweet or anything like that. The zero sugar kind of sucks. But, I want to talk about life. And the way that I want to do that is, I want to talk about life while doing side quests and odd jobs and stuff like that. It gives us a filler episode where we can get that stuff done so it's not boring. But we're also talking about important things. And I want to kind of do that and focus on it because today has sucked. I went outside and I cut my grass and then I did a bunch of other shit. I took a shower and then I had to go back out when it was 90 degrees outside and it sucked. Let's go ahead and find the first spot we can go to. I want to go to custom, and I actually want to enable... How do you... Okay, I guess it's Y. Just do gigs and then CPD. Alright, that should be good. And we're just going to all the places we can. We are going to turn that off. Alright. So let's talk about internet. Right. Oh, they're still dead in here. That's crazy. Okay, so in my area, Spectrum has a monopoly. And they have always had that monopoly. They were the only ones that had high-speed internet. Now, when it comes to other places, the internet service is kind of spotty. So when we talk about it, however, there is another company now that is in my area, and my address falls under qualifying for fiber, and that is AT&T. So it's AT&T fiber, and they have the same speeds that Spectrum has, except it's fiber, while Spectrum themselves don't have fiber at all. The difference is Spectrum Internet is $90 a month for what I have, right? They said they cannot lower it, and that is the lowest amount of speed that they have available. I also have Spectrum Mobile, and that's $30 a month. So we'll talk about mobile here in a minute. So Spectrum Internet, while being $90 a month, that's download speeds. So let's say it's 500 megabytes download speed we'll say it's 400 megabytes download speed for a month for $90. Now when we also look at it, we could say, okay, AT&T fiber has 400 megabytes download speed. However, Spectrum, while their download speed is 400 megabytes, their upload speed is about 15 to 50 megabytes. So it's 500 megabytes or 1550 megabyte upload, while 400 megabyte download, right? So we have this kind of issue. So when we come down to it, it's like, okay, so it's obviously worse, right? Because the upload speed sucks, especially when you're like recording stuff to upload. Now with AT&T fiber, that 400 megabytes download is $55 a month. Now, that $55 a month also has an upload of what they claim is also 400 megabytes upload, instead of being like 15 to 50 upload. And that is kind of insane. And I don't know if it's accurate, but that's what they claim. Now, I know somebody who had AT&T fiber, and they had spotty internet, but they also used AT&T fiber wirelessly, which defeats the entire purpose of... It defeats the entire purpose of it being fiber, right? Because fiber is like an actual, you know, wired connection. You'd want it wired connection. And I don't really use Wi-Fi. It's on my phone, but it's nowhere else. So, that is how I'm kind of doing it.
What now? Ow.
I don't want to buy from you. I want to loot this. Okay. So those are kind of the things about this. So that makes me want to try, you know, AT&T fiber. Because it is available in my area. And this fucking lighting sucks. And like messed up hair. But I want to try AT&T. I want to risk it because $35 a month is not insignificant. Because you gotta think that's a used video game. Or multiple used video games. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So that is what I want to do. Now, the other issue on this is the mobile phone. So I have Spectrum Mobile. And I have Spectrum Mobile because when I switched my internet, they gave me 1 year of Spectrum Mobile for free. Now, Spectrum Mobile, outside of that, is $30 a month. And it is just a 30 break even. They don't charge tax for some reason. It used to be $29.99 and then they just upped it to 30 even. So it is weird that they do that, but it is what it is. So when we come down to it, it's like, okay, but what are the pros and cons? The con is you have to have Spectrum service to have their internet. So you either have to have their TV, or you have to have their internet service, or you have to have their phone to have the mobile. Right? I have the bring your own phone. So I don't have to worry about that. My phone is just on my own. And Spectrum Mobile uses Verizon towers. So while we look at other things, there are other ones. There are like Consumer Wireless is another one that charges $30 a month. Outside of that, there is also Mint Mobile, which a lot of people know because of Ryan Reynolds. And I love it that he had Rick Moranis on one of the commercials because Rick Moranis was my favorite actor growing up. Loved him in Ghostbusters, the Shrunk the Kids series, all of that. He was really good at Spaceballs. Like he was just one of my favorite actors growing up. And it's awesome that he was in a commercial. But I don't do the like fall for, oh yeah, we got celebrity endorsement. I usually ignore that stuff. However, it has become apparent that it's actually a good service. And maybe we should pay attention to it a little bit more. So, I want to switch to Mint Mobile. Now, there are some pros and there are some cons for Mint Mobile. And some of that stuff includes the fact that you pay up front. So you can either do a 3-month, a 6-month, or a 12-month plan. And it's not that bad. So there are pros and cons to that itself. So we'll talk about that. So when you pay up front, what are the pros and what are the cons? Well, the pro is you get you don't have to pay a bill for 12 months or 3 months or whatever have you. So you're good. You don't have to make another payment for a long time. Now, if you have like ADHD or if you're a out of sight, out of mind kind of person. Also, the issue is it's upfront, right? So if you're buying 12 months of the unlimited for 30, you are paying like $300 at one time. Now, compared to some carriers, that's actually not that big of a deal because a lot of the times your phone bill can be like $300 for 1 month, right? But you pay it one time and you don't have to worry about it. The issue is if you're not a budget-friendly kind of person, or if you have that out of sight, out of mind kind of mentality, you might end up forgetting to pay it or something like that. Now, it's not that big of a deal. You just have to make another payment, and then you have another, like, 12 months or 3 months or however long you pick for, right? So it's not that big of a deal. However, if you aren't paying attention, you're not saving your money correctly, and you're going, like, paycheck to paycheck, it can be annoying at one time to come up with that if you forgot. But if you're budgeting correctly, you shouldn't have that issue. But life happens, and things can get in the way. So, other things we can kind of talk about is if you have that kind of, I guess if you have that mentality or whatever, you might not want to risk it, right? Now, I think I want to do it regardless because they have 2 deals going on right now, right? You can have $20 for every month for 6 months up front. So instead of paying like $300, you're paying $240, which is great. But they also have if you've never been a customer with them, you can have 3 months up front for $15 a month, unlimited. And that is insane. That gets you in the door right there. So if you don't have the money, all you need is $45, and you have 3 months paid, just out of the gate. And I think that is cool. So I want to switch there. Now, Mint Mobile uses T-Mobile coverage, which, you know, they have the best 5G coverage in the area. And they're the only ones that cover up in the rural areas of my actual city, or my county, I guess you would call it. So there's that kind of thing right there. Now, if we talk about that, we can see, okay, so they have this coverage. Now, what is Spectrum Mobile? Spectrum Mobile is Verizon, right? And Verizon does not have 5G, it has 4G. However, T-Mobile has 5G. So you have that added plus. If you're 5G compatible, you'll also get 5G network, which I have a 14 Pro. So I am compatible for the 5G. So I would have a better 5G network than the current 4G network I am currently on. And I don't have to worry about bills for a while, right? I still put them aside, still save $30 a month in an envelope or however you do it. And then you're good. And then when the times come to pay it again, why are you just on fire, chick? Then you just do it there. And it's all great, right? We're gonna wait for these guys to go. So that's what I've been thinking right now. I want to get the 5G coverage, and I think I want to do the 3 months. And then if they are still having the deal for the 12 months, great. If not, 3 months down the line, I should have enough to pay for a 12-month subscription. And then I would just keep it. I have heard apparently, like, during holidays, you actually get voicemails from Ryan Reynolds and Christmas cards and shit like that. Some people were talking about he's sending you, like, 40-minute voicemails of him reading children's books, which is cool. You know, it is what it is. I think someone said they did that for a Mother's Day kind of thing, so people can have, you know, time to themselves and don't have to worry about all this stuff. That's not really important, but it is cool that they do that, if they still do that. Oh, here we go. I thought I saw this symbol. But it also doesn't require anything. So you can cancel anytime. And you don't have to pay, you know, cancellation fees and all that shit. Now, I am also looking at it as in, okay, well, we have this stuff, right? And, let's see, what's the EBD? We have this stuff. With Spectrum, you are required to have their service. So if I want to drop Spectrum Internet, I don't have a choice to drop Spectrum Mobile. They will not let me keep mobile without the internet. It's just what it is, unless I get TV or landline or something like that. And it's 2025. No one is getting a landline, right? It's not needed. Although I've thought about it because I don't want a cell phone. I want to go like the Ed Sheeran route. But you can't do that unless you're rich, because every job is required to call you and all this other bullshit, even though they don't pay your bills. It sucks, but it is what it is. So that makes me think I want to go to Mint Mobile. Now, before when I was looking up different internet providers, they would charge like $250 to change services. It's insane, right? It's like, oh yeah, you didn't pay for like equipment up front and stuff. But AT&T is like, oh yeah, it's $100, but we'll cover it. So it's you don't pay us anything right now. In 1 month from now, after we actually set it up, 1 month after we set it up, it's $55 if it's auto pay. 65 without auto pay. And that's for the speeds I'm talking about with the 400 megabytes a second for download, and apparently upload at 400 megabytes a second too, which is insane because upload's going to help me so much. Because as far as these videos, I like doing these videos, but holy shit, they take 3 to 4 hours to upload on Spectrum Internet, and it sucks. It's just like, oh yeah, 400 megabytes a second upload with 15 or 400 megabytes a second download with 15 upload, and it's just it sucks so bad. So I want to do this stuff, and I kind of want to do it on video, but it's definitely not going to be on like this channel, of course, because this is a Let's Play channel for Nintendo games and stuff on the Switch. I can't just do that, right? It wouldn't bode well. So I'd either do it on a new channel where it's just my name, like Dante Kaz, or I'll do it on my Desert Kaz channel, which is my review channel. And I think it would work good on a review channel, because my review channel is mostly just about like, I review video games or movies or whatever have you. I need to get into it and start actually uploading more. But holy shit, dude. That's what I'm talking about. They got Contagion. Nope. I'm gonna ignore that phone call because it says spam. So those might die. That one's gonna go back and forth. This one, for some reason, didn't jump to the other person. Okay, cool. He's dying. Let's go ahead and grab this loot. I guess I'll short circuit him, but he's already should be dead. Boy. It's crazy. So I kind of want to do this thing to see if it's true. Because when we talk about it, let's go about some cons, right? Can I not loot that body because it's in the car? And I can't get it out of the car either. Let's talk about some cons with Spectrum Internet. So Spectrum has Verizon, and Verizon is not good in the rural areas of the county where I live. So we gotta talk about that. Now, I don't ever go up there that often, so it's fine. However, if I want to, I won't have cell phone service currently. I know T-Mobile is the only one that has service up there. So that's a pro for the Mint Mobile. But let's also talk about the fact that, okay, Spectrum Mobile, how does it work? Well, it's on Verizon, Verizon, and it also uses Spectrum routers. So the way they do that is so you can keep high speed without using the actual data. And that is if you're in range of a router. So if you're at a McDonald's and they have Spectrum, you're on that router. And most businesses, if not all of them, have Spectrum. It's just how it is in this area. They're a monopoly. So if you go to a Walmart or a Meijer or a Target or whatever have you, they're going to have Spectrum, and then your phone's going to jump off of data, and then it's going to jump off of 4G, and it's going to bounce off the Spectrum router. So it's going to do that, and that's supposed to keep your speeds higher, and all of that kind of stuff. Cool. What is the drawback of that? So while it's good in theory, that means every time you leave the area, you're going to have about 30 seconds to 2 minutes of cutout. So where it's swapping from the router, the Spectrum service, to the Verizon tower, you're going to have that 30 seconds to 2 minute drop. So if you're listening to Bluetooth on your car and you're using your phone, like I play YouTube because I have YouTube Premium. It will cut out, and then the song will pause for about 60 seconds. And then when I get farther down the road, then it will start playing again because it jumped on data. Same thing if you enter a place, you're going to have that drop. And they'll do it on the phone service too. So your call might be dropped. And then you'll just have to like recall them back. Or you'll have to resend the text. Right? It's just what it is. So it's a negative. Now, there's also some more negatives with Spectrum Mobile. That's the most annoying one right there. Spectrum also has a data cap. Although it's unlimited, and technically I guess it is unlimited, it's not unlimited priority. So after 20 gigs for $30 unlimited, they slow your service down a bit. And then it takes longer to actually like read stuff. So that is kind of how that is. Now, did we not read the shard? So you may have to deal with that, right? But you can also pay $40 a month. And then you'll have... You pay $40 a month, then you're just like, okay, cool. You have unlimited, except it slows down after 30 gigabytes of data used a month. So the priority is bad. For Mint Mobile is unlimited for $30 a month if you pay for like the 12-month plan. It slows down after 40 gigabytes. So it's already double for the same price as Spectrum. So you have that. And that is also another thing that's like you should take in effect. You should come in like and think about it. It's contagions using against cops. I don't think that was an issue on Xbox. I don't think it actually contagioned cops before. But it's doing it now for some reason. Alright, we're on here. So, you gotta think about that. So that's that issue. I don't know how Mint Mobile is going to do it, but Mint Mobile doesn't seem like it's going to be jumping back and forth between routers. So they shouldn't have that data connection drop, in my opinion. Because I think that only happens when you're in range or you're leaving range of Spectrum service. So there's that kind of thing I need to think about. So I really do want to just focus and get Mint Mobile already. Even if I don't get AT&T, Mint Mobile is just a better deal, in my opinion. Because, you know, for the same price, but I don't have to listen to that annoying connection issues. It's just worth it in my opinion. Okay, so they're dead. Okay, let's find the next area. Oh, we're still going to the next area. What contagion? Alright, so those are my issues with the mobile stuff right now. So I do want to change, and I tried to ask what the day was that I could change. And Spectrum doesn't give a fuck if you cancel. They think you're just going to come back anyway. But they said, oh, just cancel the day it's due. So if you're like, oh, it's like if your bill, like if your internet's due on the 23rd, just cancel your internet service on the 23rd. Because they said they don't prorate. So they said, it's like, okay, yeah. If you cancel it, if you pay it on 23rd and then you end up canceling on the 2nd, they're not going to give you any money back. They said they keep it. So it's like, okay, well, that sucks. But also they said same thing if you cancel on the 12th, but it's not due on the 23rd. So there's no reason to not just cancel on the day it's due. Or I would be safe and I would cancel the weekday before it's due. And I would just cancel service because they said when you cancel the service, it's instant. They flip a switch and then it's just done. And then you drop your they got rid of Spectrum like buildings. So now it says, oh, just drop off all your equipment at a UPS store. Okay, or a FedEx or whatever. And then they give you a little paper that said you returned it there. And then they said keep that paper for at least 2 years afterwards. So they don't try some shenanigans to try to get money for lost equipment. So that's what the UPS store told me, not what Spectrum said. Spectrum probably wouldn't give you that notice. So you just gotta, I don't know, it's weird. I do want to get rid of it because it saves money. And when you can save money, you need to be able to. Even if you can afford it, like there's no reason to pay for less. Or pay more money for less stuff. That's just a stupid way to do it. Because it's not a flex to say, oh, I have Spectrum Internet. No, because everyone knows it's a freaking monopoly. Like, that's not, like, they're not going to be impressed, right? Everyone has Spectrum. So it's, I don't know. I need to do it. Alright, let's turn this off and go up here. Turn that off. Contagion this guy. Alright, I'm just gonna blow this up. If you have Spectrum Mobile, or if you have like Verizon or anything, let me know, or like Mint Mobile, let me know what your thoughts are on the whole situation. Like, would you switch if you could? Have you switched? Because I switched to Spectrum Mobile because my freaking T-Mobile raised their prices so much, and they were like, oh, $300 a freaking month for no reason. When I was supposed to be paying $55. And I didn't have a phone payment or anything. Like, you know, that wasn't on there because I bought my phone from Best Buy. And that was an annoying experience right there to do that. But yeah, I don't know. It's, if you can save money, you might as well save money, even if you can afford not saving money. Like, it just makes more sense. Like, it's like, oh, cool, I can afford, you know, $300 phone payment every month. Good for you, dude. I'm paying $30 and then I'm buying video games. It's like, okay, cool. That's just, it just makes more sense to me. I don't know why people think it's a flex to pay more. It's just weird. Especially if it's like, oh yeah, cool, I pay for 500 megabytes a month for $90. Yeah, but you can also just pay $55. And then you have enough money to buy video games or concert tickets or sports tickets or whatever the hell you want, really. Oh, you could just buy alcohol and just party. It doesn't really matter. It's, everyone has what they enjoy. Like, I don't see, like, it's not a flex to spend money. Now, if you like the stuff, that is great, and you should like what you get. But that's not the same thing. Like, if you like something, why not, you know, have more money to get the thing you like? I don't know. This shit sucks, though, having to deal with this all the time. Because my home insurance, like, I bought a house in 2018, and as much as people tell you it's hard to get a house, no, it's not. Not really. Like, you can get, like, there's first-time home buyer and all this stuff. You can get a house. You know why I bought a house in 2018? And why I had to, like, I did all that other stuff in, like, 2022? It's because it was easier than getting an apartment. The apartment is more critical on, like, your credit score than buying a house is. Think about that. That's fucking insane. It's easier to buy a house than it is to get into an apartment complex. And I don't know. No, you should do some research before you do you get a house, because that first-time home buyer thing where basically you don't have a down payment, that is one time. That is first-time home buyer. That is not like, you know, every other time. That is first time. I wish I would have knew that at the time about that kind of stuff so I could think about it more, right? Because if I could have thought about it more, I would have bought like a duplex. And you're like, oh, well, if you can't afford a duplex, you know. But that's not how that works, right? So first time home buyer, you'd have like no down payment on a duplex. But then what you would do, like, it doesn't count just like, because you're like, oh, I only bring in $400 a week, right? So I can't be approved for something that's going to cost $2,000 a month. Okay. You can look at that and you're just like, yes, true. But not completely. Because there is a... it's not just how much money you make and bring in. There is a potential income that has to be added in. So if you buy a duplex for $2,000 a month, and it's like, okay, you make $1,200 a month, right? Oh, bad idea. Except it depends on your area. If you know you have a roommate, or if you have somebody who can go in there, if you know your apartment, like if it's $2,000 in your area to rent a apartment or whatever, then you can easily get somebody in there. And what that means is, instead of you saying you have, oh, I guess it's $1,600. So instead of saying like, oh, I have $1,600 a month that I make, but the mortgage is $2,000, it says, okay, but you could potentially get another $2,000 a month in rent by renting out the second unit of the townhome or the duplex or whatever. And then it's like, okay, cool. And then they add it to what you currently make. So it's like, oh, you make $3,600 a month and the actual mortgage is $2,000. You're good to go because they put that in an account. Now, obviously, if you don't have anyone lined up, or if you don't think you can find a roommate or somebody who you can rent that out to, don't do that. That's, you know, but if you have a pretty good idea, you can find somebody to rent that other unit out. Absolutely. Like, you just basically get a free duplex. And then what happens when you want to move? Oh, well, then just move. Like, you could rent out both units. That one person is paying off your payment right there. Like, just that one person. You're not making any payments yourself. So you're saving the money that you need otherwise. And that is pretty good. But, you know, when you do want to move, you can just move and not sell the house. And now you can just tell people, it's like, oh, yeah. And now you have an income. You have two people who can do the income for you. So now it's like, okay, now you rent out both units for like $2,000 each. So you're making $4,000 a month. $2,000 of that's going to your actual mortgage payment. And then $2,000 of it's going in your pocket. Now you're making more money, not going to work, like just for having that, than you actually have coming in. So it's like, okay, cool. So now you're making $2,000 profit. And yeah, you can use that $2,000 to like do some upgrades to your house, upgrades to the duplex, or like whatever you want. You just have options, and that's good. Hell, you could stop working if you know you can consistently always have somebody in those two townhomes. You could just stop going to a normal job for full time. You could do part time, or you could just open your own like business. You could do whatever you want. You can go buy a second duplex, and then now you have three. You're bringing in like $6,000 a month, while you have, you know, so you're bringing in $6,000 a month at that point. So you're living for free. $4,000 of that is covering, you know, the mortgages for both duplexes. But you're just good. It's just, there's multiple ways to look at it that you have to look up and find out what you want. Of course, some people don't want to deal with other people. They don't want to have to deal with, like, what if somebody needs to be evicted and all that shit. And that's understandable, right? It's not something that is good for everybody. It's something that is good for some. It's the same thing as far as, like, employees. It's like, why don't you just open up your own business? Why don't you go be a CEO or something? Why don't you open your own game store? Not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. A lot of people just want to be told what to do, and they just show up for a 9 to 5. That is okay. That's just, some people wants to do that, and that's just how some people want to live. Absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It's to each their own. If that is what you want to do, then do it. No, there's no shame in not wanting to you know, be a business owner or anything. It's cool. If you don't want to have a house, if you only want to live in apartments your entire life, all right, cool. Do what you want to do, you know? It's like the girl who played Sam, who had that biography and stuff. Like, she said she doesn't want, like, she sold her house so she could live in an apartment. Because she'd rather just be able to call maintenance to fix anything she wants. Without having to deal with, like, hiring somebody herself and all of that stuff. It's just, it's what they want to do. If that's how you want to live, then awesome. Like, don't let people shame you for it. I thought that was a bad guy. But yeah, I had a thing earlier this year. So I ended up having to get onto unemployment, right? Because I was wrongfully terminated. Now, I was wrongfully terminated because the management at the place I worked are very anti-LGBT. And they fired me on quote for being a, like, their words exactly is like faggot freak, right? And I filed against a wrongful termination against them. They tried to fight it, and then I ended up showing the actual text messages, and then they let out. They're like, oh, we're good. We're not going to fight you. And they were going to do that. Man, I had a lawyer all set up to get money for it. And the lawyer dropped the case because they said, oh, well, Donald Trump's is president now. So they dropped the case. Which is stupid because, like, the entire point of it was, like, they did it because they said men don't wear, like, necklaces. But as you can see, I have a necklace with, like, a skull and a sun and a moon. And they're like, oh yeah, men just don't wear jewelry. It's like, well, that sucks for, you know, everybody who's married. You're telling everybody they're an LGBT freak because if they're men, they're wearing a wedding band. That's just stupid. And as soon as that employee, that manager, ended up quitting like 3 days after as well. After I sent the text messages, they just didn't show up to work. They just quit. They walked out. So it's like, okay, so they obviously knew they were in the wrong. But instead of like offering a job back or anything, they were just like, no, we're just gonna not deal with LGBT people. And it's stupid because, like, you know, they don't even know what my status is. All they did was assume the status and then do it. Oh, as far as they know, it's like, I'm just a cis white dude who just, like, plays video games and shit. Like, you know, not LGBT at all. But they don't care about that. You know, they care about what, like, the appearances are and shit. So, you know, it is what it is. That was the argument I had with Meyer. And it's like, well, that fucking sucks. Because at the time it was like, just, you know, you can offer the job back. But they didn't want to. So then I was on unemployment. They tried to fight that. And like I said, as soon as the text messages were in case, they dropped it instantly. And it was like, yeah, we're not going to fight it. Because they don't want that smoke. Unfortunately, the lawyers dropped the cases and shit. That sucked. But it is what it is, you know? It sucks for people who are actually in the LGBT community. Because if you get that much hate, just for being, like, accused of it, imagine the people who are actually part of it. Like, that's going to be terrible, right? You know? And I'm one of those people that's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, if that's, you know, you're not hurting me. Like, I don't care what you do in your free time. Like, why would I care? You gotta have, like, a really boring life to care about what other people are doing. For no reason. Especially if they don't affect you. Or if you ever, like, and most of the time, like, online. Like, no one's gonna meet these people. Like, it's just absolutely no reason for them to have it. Like, all that hate and shit. But, so I was like, okay, do the unemployment thing. Now, the average time that someone is on unemployment in my area is 2 years, that they said. And I think that sucks. But I have 17 years of management experience, and I understand why they do that. So part of the thing that I was required when I was hiring people for multiple jobs. Now, like I've been manager at Walmart, and all this other stuff, Meyer and Beach and all this other shit, like all these random ass places. But the thing about that is, they tell you, like HR is like, oh yeah, when you hire somebody, you need to hire someone who is a kid. Like you have to hire someone who's like living with their parents. You have to hire someone who's like 18. I had to argue with HR to be able to hire somebody like who's in their 40s. Because like, yeah, but they're in their 40s and they need a full-time job. And, they've only had one other job. It's in this, area of expertise. And they were in that job for 20 years. Like, they're not going to be leaving. And HR's like, I don't care. Statistically, we can't hire them because they're not 18. And the reason they do that is you are statistically someone who has lots of years of experience in a job. They know more about like how to be treated. So if the job decides to treat them poorly, then they know, oh, we're being treated poorly, and they're going to leave, right? They're less likely to stay. But statistically, if an 18-year-old comes in, yeah, some of them don't want to work because they live with their parents and they don't have bills. But if it's their first job and they stay, statistically, they are never going to get a different job, and they are always going to stay there for the rest of their life. Like, statistically, it's just a safer bet to save the company money because they don't know how to be treated. So if you treat them like shit, like if you like kick them while they're down and tell them they're useless and all that stuff, they're like, oh, that just must be how all jobs are. And they won't do anything. They'll just stay and take it. And then next thing they know, they've been there for 55 years. And that's it. And it's like, oh, well, that sucks. But that is what they require. That is why they hire the people they do. And, it's just statistics. It's just how they do it. They want to save as much money as possible. The more money they save, the more money they get in their pockets. Alright, so that guy's gonna be touching us. Why are you walking in circles? Why is it... Here. So, it sucks about that shit, but there's not much you can do about it. Man, this guy has a lot of health, apparently. Alright, snaps burn out. That should end it, right? Is that all of them? I think there's one more. No, that's a cop. Okay, cool. So it's annoying when you're more likely to get a job if you don't have any responsibilities than you are if you do. And when you look at that with common sense, it's like, okay, but people, like, that shouldn't be a reason not to hire somebody. Your reason for not hiring somebody shouldn't be, oh, they're going to leave if we treat them like shit. And the company should just not treat them like shit, in my opinion. That is just what they should do, is just don't treat people badly. Why are you hiring people expecting to treat them badly? Like, that's just stupid. Like, why is that what this world is coming to? But yeah, so it took like 2 years, right, for the unemployment. Like, that's an average. It took me like I think from January until like now, so it's like 7 months or whatever. However, when you got into like a job, unemployment then wants to like argue because it's like, okay, you got a job, and they said, yeah, we want to hire you. You can come in and start training in 3 weeks. Unemployment's like, oh well, you know, you got a job and you start in 3 weeks, so now you have to pay us everything back. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. And then they argue, and they're like, oh, well, now you have a job, so you no longer get unemployment. It's like, well, there's 3 months, there's 3 weeks before you have the job. Like, yes, it's like, technically they add you to, like, okay, they file that they have your social security number, but you're not on schedule. And unemployment's just like, oh, we don't care. We only care that you have a job. We don't care if it pays at all, or if you even are allowed to work yet. We just care that you technically on a roster in somebody's computer somewhere. And that's stupid. Because then it's like, okay, so now you take away unemployment benefits for 3 months, or 3 weeks. And then you're telling them they have to pay back 3 weeks prior. So now you're charging people, say you charge them like $1,200, tell them that they're not allowed to they have to pay $1,200 out of pocket. They have 1 week to do so. If not, they can go to prison or whatever. And they're not allowed to have any more unemployment for 3 weeks, even though they're not starting for 3 weeks. But also, because of that, well, now they're also not going to be able to get to work. Like, what if they needed, to Uber to work? What if they need, like, you could say, oh yeah, people have to ride a bus. Buses aren't everywhere. Trains are not everywhere. I think the closest train is like 17 hours away from me. Like, the closest bus is, I think, 7-hour drive to get there. Hell, like, probably like a 32-hour walk. Like, it's not feasible. That's not how that works in the United States. Now, if you live in, like, New York, or if you live in a city or something, yeah. But, this is rural. This is country. That's not how that works. That's not everywhere. So you have to keep that in mind when you're talking about this stuff. So then it's like, oh yeah, you got a job in 3 weeks. We're not paying you, plus you owe us $1,200. Okay. So then when you get the job, if you don't have a way to get there, it's like, oh, you don't have a way to get there because we took away all your money. Well, I guess you need to get back on unemployment and we'll pay you more. No. People don't want to stay on unemployment. Like, people who have worked for 20 years don't want to stay on unemployment. They want to just get their shit done, and they want to work. But, places like, Kentucky and Indiana and Ohio and all that shit are like, no, fuck you. Like, we're going to make sure you are unemployed, and you're going to like it. And that's not how it is, because it's like, oh, if you try to get employed, we're going to fuck you over and make sure that there is no possible way for you not to be employed. And it's like, all right, cool. And it's like, oh yeah, and you worked at a job, and it's like, awesome. You worked at a job and you made, $5,000 a month. Hell yeah. But the cost of living in the area is $4,500 a month. Okay, whatever. Because the average apartment now in this area is $1,800 a month. So it's like, okay, so you have all of this shit. Who are they? They're trauma team. We don't want to attack trauma team. Oh yeah, we're at a hospital. That's why they're there. But that's the thing. It's like, so they make it so it's like, oh yeah, you can't do this. You have to be unemployed. And I don't know. It's a lot of bullshit, is what it is. There we go. But I don't know. This shit, it fucking sucks. And then it's like, okay, well, if you make $5,000 a month, the cost of living in the area is $4,500 a month. Awesome. So it's like, when you get unemployed, it's like, don't worry, we're going to give you the max amount of unemployment. Yeah, so we're going to give you $200 a week. Yeah. So that's $800 a month. And when the cost of living is $4,500 a month. We're like, yeah, figure that out, dude. And the reason they're like, oh yeah, well, of course, because, we're going off the fact that cost of living when they give you money, when the government gives you money, their cost of living is based off of minimum wage. And what is minimum wage? $7.25 an hour. So it's like, yep. It's like, because minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, we are going to give you $200 a week. Because that should cover full time. No matter how much the actual cost of living is in the area. Or anything like that. It's like, oh yeah, you shown, like, we made you give us the documents of how much rent is, and we know how much it costs for this area. Yeah, we know. Like, you know, we know it's $2,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment, but you know, $7.25 is minimum wage, so fuck you. And that's what it is. Like, it's crazy, because what it is, like, the minimum wage is supposed to be, it's the bare minimum required to pay for food, housing, and transportation. That is what minimum wage does. That is the point of minimum wage. On full-time hours, 32 hours a week, minimum wage, currently $7.25 an hour, is supposed to cover food, housing, transportation. And that's supposed to cover your rent. It's supposed to cover your, like, if you go on a bus, and it's supposed to cover for food. And that, like, ramen. Like, right? That is what it is. But $7.25 an hour for 32 hours a week does not cover any of those at all. And that's, you know, that's a downgrade for them. Because a lot of people get that wrong. They're like, oh, minimum wage is supposed to be like what you start out at. Yeah, it is. It's supposed to what you start out at with the bare minimum of housing, food, and transportation. That is what it's supposed to be. Like, back when, okay, so 2009, right? So I had an apartment back in 2009. If you don't know, I have been living on my own since I was 15. And I got kicked out of my parents' houses for going after a child predator. I was then kicked out of the house and all that kind of shit. So, I've been living on my own since I was 15. Now, when we talk about this, you think about, okay, 2009. What was minimum wage? $7.25 an hour. You know, coincidence? Not at all. They just haven't raised it since 2009. So, $7.25 an hour, 32 hours a week is full-time in the United States of America, right? A lot of people say 40, but legally, it's 32. Now, when you look at this stuff, how much was the average apartment back in 2009? All right, for this area, the average apartment back in 2009 was about $240 for a 1-bedroom or $360 for a 2-bedroom. So that's $360 for a 2-bedroom apartment back in 2009 when it's $7.25 an hour. How much was the average food? All right, well, if you think about it, the average food back in 2009 was about $100 a month would get you healthy food. Like, not ramen, like healthy food. So that was... Oh. We're apparently overcumbered. So that's healthy food for $100 a month. You know, if you feed more than one person, it might be like $150. Well, it's not a lot. And then, you know, so 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom, about $240 to $360 in the area. Now let's talk about your average, like, utilities. So your average water bill was about $15. Your average sewage bill was about $15. Your average electric was about $70. And your average gas was about, you know, so your electric would be like $70 in the summer and then $20 in the winter. Gas would be $20 in the summer, $70 in the winter. And that's kind of how the bills were. And that's on $7.25. So, in that exact same area, in that exact same apartment, that 2-bedroom, no longer has a basement included because it was 2-bedroom with a basement. The basement's no longer included. You now have to pay, you know, your sewage and water and gas. It used to be you only had to pay electric. You only had to pay electric and rent. Now you have to pay all 4 utilities: electric, gas, sewage, water. So in that same apartment, you now have to pay for 4 utilities. So now the average in the summer used to be $80 for the electric, and then it was 20 in the, like 80 in the summer, 20 in the winter. Now the average is 200 during the summer and 80 in the winter. Okay, now gas is still the same. It used to be 80 in the winter, 20 in the summer. Now it is 200 in the winter and 80 in the summer. All right, your sewage and your water in the area is averaged $50 each. So 50 for water, 50 for sewage. All right, now that exact same apartment with the exact same furniture, there's no remodels or anything like that. That is now, that exact apartment is $2,100 a month for 2-bedroom, and that's it. The average 1-bedroom in the area is $1,600 a month. Now, when you look at that, you're like, okay, cool. And then what is the minimum wage? Exactly the same as it was in 2009, but everything is a lot more expensive. Now let's go about car payment and insurance. What was the average insurance rate back in 2009 in the area? Well, the average insurance rate was about $50 to $60 for car insurance for full coverage. Cool. The average car insurance currently for full coverage is around $350 to $450 a month. Like not one time, a month, right? So you have that, okay? Well, that's a lot more. That's a big increase. So when we talk about the other stuff, that's a huge increase, and you don't want to deal with that. Now, what about car payments? A car payment that used to be marked as expensive, like if you were paying $300 a month for your car, that was outrageous back in 2009. Like your car payment should have been like for a brand new 2009 or 2010 vehicle, you were paying about $180 a month. Like, you know, or you pay like $80 for just a normal car for the car payment a month, like $80 a month, or $180 if you really splurged and got a big car, like a new car. You know, it depends on what kind of car you get, but that is the average for like your Camry, your Toyota Camry, your, you know, your shit like that, your Ford Mustang. Cars that are civilian cars that you can go buy anywhere. Like, I'm not talking about, like, you know, these, like, a car payment for a freaking Lamborghini or any shit like that. This is basic cars. But, okay, let's talk about it now. So, while the average insurance now for full coverage is like $350 to $450 for a, like, a Camry or, you know, a Honda Civic or some shit, you can get them cheaper in a lot of areas, but it kind of depends on your actual age and all that kind of stuff. Now in 2009, we are talking about 21-year-old ages. Like this hasn't hit the 25-year-old deduction. This isn't all those other deductions, right? This is just, if you were 21, this is usually like how the averages are in this area. Luckily, there are other websites you can go to, just like average cell phone now is like $300 payment a month for a bill, but there are places that do 30, and that's awesome, and that is what people should do, and that's what we were talking about earlier. So you have that to deal with, and there are car insurance places you can get. There's actually one around us that is a car insurance for drug dealers. It's sketchy. It's $15 a month. And they give you a card that says you have insurance. But they don't pay anything. It's just a card in case you get pulled over by the cops. Like, that's all it is, right? It's a very sketchy place. They don't pay anything. They don't cover anything. Like, you do not want to get into an accident when you have that insurance. But it is like $10 a month. It's $15 a month. So that is the pro with that. So there are, like, outliers in it. But when you're talking about this stuff, it's like, well, yeah. But then it's like, why didn't, you know, wages get higher? And a lot of people will be like, oh, well, it can't get higher because of what you call, like, you know, everything's going to go up. Everything that costs money is going to increase. They're like, oh, well, you can't do that because, you know, then food's going to go up by $80. But that's not how that works. And they are getting it confused. So as someone who has 17 years of management experience and experience in finance, and when I say manager, I mean manager. Like, I manage the books, I manage the hiring, I manage the allocation and all of this stuff. Like, I'm not talking about like your Papa John's management, right? I'm talking about actual management positions that have meaning in the business ways of the business, like all of that shit. So when you're talking about that kind of stuff, you want to think about it, right? Oh, I thought that was a gun. So when you're looking at that kind of thing, it's like, well, it's kind of insane that there are like all of the stuff that's happening and all of that. And inflation isn't cut and dry. Like, people are like, oh, well, inflation's going to raise. Oh, you can't raise money because inflation. That's not how that works. So the way that it works is, as someone who has the management experience and who has done this for 17 years, right? So let's put COVID, for example. When you have COVID, when the world had COVID, everything was sold out. So the way the business works is business has to have a profit, right? If you are not making a profit, you are considered a failing business. You want shareholders to be happy. Now, shareholders don't have common sense. All they see is numbers, and that's all that matters. The reasons around those numbers do not matter in any way, shape, or form. The only thing that matters is the numbers. As far as someone with common sense, like me and you, we can look at that and be like, oh, well, you know, during COVID, those numbers shouldn't really count because it's not realistic, because the world was on fire. And, you know, you can't use those numbers.
I'm gonna eat yours.
But they do use the numbers. But that's the way we do it. So the way it works in management. What? Oh, is that trash bag on fire? How are you supposed to see that? That's dumb. So, the way it works in business, using it as an example, we have to make a certain amount of money. If you don't make that much money, you are failing as a business. Shareholders are not happy. Even if you are a family-owned business, they still want to make money. We fucked up, but you still want to make money. So when we look at it, we'll wait until the wanted level is down. Okay, they're running off. They're not using the ladder. So when you want to make money and you want to have the actual business being in good condition or whatever, that's when like people get confused between inflation and like corporate greed. So the way the corporate greed works... Oops. I thought we were done. Okay. The way corporate greed works is, say if I have a job, right? Or if I have a business. Say if in 2025 I sell $2,000 worth of goods. I make a $2,000 profit, actually. So say if I make a $2,000 profit in 2025. Well, to be a good business in good standing, then I would need to make at least $2,100 in 2026, right? And it's like, cool, that is how that works. Straightforward. If I make $1,900 in 2026, the business is considered like failing. Like it did not hit expectations. It is not in a good place. Investors are going to be pissed, right? And we use low numbers because it's easier to understand for other people. So when we go with, 2020, COVID. Now, if you look at 2019, Walmart, as an example, say your Walmart, your local Walmart store hit 8 million in sales in 2019. It's amazing. Great job. That means in 2020, they should make at least 9 million in sales and they'll be happy. And that's all they need to do. They're like, okay, we're going to get about the same amount of customers. We might need to raise everything up by like maybe 10 cents or something. But we're going to be good. We're going to get 10 million in sales. It's fine. We don't have to worry about it. Okay. Then 2020 hits. And what happens? Well, everybody loses their fucking mind. And that, you know, oh, we need 9 million sales. Hell, 2020, they made $50 million in sales, right? Holy shit. So, everything was sold out in the store. They made 50 million. Now, when we look at that as humans with a common sense, we see, okay, 8 million in 2019 to 50 million in 2020. That is unnatural, and that is not a good indicator. So maybe we should aim for 10 million in 2021. That's how a normal person will look at it. However, that's not how corporations look at it. They need to succeed. And if they have a lower number, they're failing. So when they look at it, it's like, okay, cool. Now we made 50 million in 2020. So what do we need to do in 2021? Well, we better make at least $51 million to be a good standing business and not be failing. However, there's a problem. Because it's like, yeah, now you're making, it's like, okay, you need to make $51 million. But you know, not everybody is going crazy, right? You're not going to have a sold out store for 2021. And you know that. Your profits are probably going to drop back down around 9 or 10 million. And you know that for a fact because, you know, it's not a reachable goal. However, you don't have that option. You need to reach the goal. So how do you reach that goal? Well, you need to increase everything. If you have an estimation of you can make 10 million, how do you turn that into 51? You times everything by 5. I mean, if you have something that is $1, you make it $5. If you have something that is $50, you know, you increase the price. That is what you do. You increase the price. If you're going to sell less, but you need to make more money, you sell less of more expensive things by increasing the price. So, because of COVID, they now have to make 51 million. All right, okay, well, everything still has to go up in price, right? Because now they make 51 million in 2021. Awesome. But now they have to make 52 million in 2022. So the prices can't go back down. Like, you can't make more money by lowering the price. So now, if you need to make 52 million, and you're going to have about the same amount of customers, well, now you have to raise prices again. Like, you can raise them back like 10 cents or whatever, but you still have to raise them up. So while they raise from like $1 to $5, you now have to raise it from $5 to $5.10. Okay, but now also because you did that, over 2 years, everything went from $1 to $5.10. And then what are you going to do in 2024? Well, you need to make another $1 million, so you're going to add another 10 cents to the price. And all this kind of stuff. Now, there are outliers. You can have like, okay, well, we're going to make sure these hot dogs at Costco cost the same amount of money. Hell yeah. But what do? You take the profits from elsewhere. You do the money that way. So if I'm going to sell something, say if I have 5 video games I need to sell, but I need to make $100. It's like, okay, cool. But if 4 of those video games aren't going to sell very good because they're like shovelware or Cooking Mama, but one of those is like a Mario game. But I'm trying to get $100, right? Okay, so then what I do is instead of selling every game for say $20, no, you sell all of the other games for about 12, and then you sell the Mario game for the rest of the difference. And then you make your $100, and really it only relied on you selling that one Mario game instead of having to sell everything equally. Because if you sell everything equally, people are going to be like, oh, I don't want the Mario game. I'll just pay or I only want the Mario game. I'll just pay $20 and that's it. While you have other people who are like, oh, these are options. And they look at it like, oh, I could pay $60 for the Mario game, but I can just buy 4 okay games for $10 each. So I might as well get 4 games rather than 1. And then, you know, like all of that kind of shit. Like, it is what it is. Or if they're going to buy Mario, they're like, oh, it's only $40 extra. You get other games. But if all the games are the exact same price, then they're just going to buy the game they want. And they're not going to buy the other games. Like, that's just how marketing and stuff works. That's why when you go and you're making deals, when you see somebody that's like, okay, you can do, say an item is like $5 each, right? $5 each, but 15 if you buy 3. Or 15 if you buy 4. It's like, okay, you might have gone there and you were only expecting to buy 1 item, right? You only want 1 frozen pizza for $5. However, now it's buy 4 for 15. Well, if you buy, you know, they're going to be like $3.50 each if you buy 4 of them. And that's better than $5 each, right? So you might as well. And if you're going to do it that way, it's like, well, you might as well you might as well buy 4 of them, right? You're getting 1 for free. So that's like girl math implications, where it's like, well, you got to. You only want 1, but you know it would cost more if you only bought 1. So it's cheaper if you bought 4, because technically each item is only $3.50 or whatever instead of $5. So technically you're saving money by buying more, but in reality you're not. And that is what that is for. Like, it is a marketing scheme to do that. Like, that is the entire point of the marketing scheme. Let's max out our intelligence. Overclock. Let's grab this. Let's grab that. And then let's grab that. I thought I already had that, but I guess I don't. Cool. Yeah, it's just marketing, and this is how it works, right? Like, that is why they do it. Like, you don't... If it didn't work, it wouldn't happen. But I don't know, there's a lot to it. A lot of people don't understand how that works. They're just like, ooh, inflation's gonna go up. It's not just inflation, and it's not going to go up that much, right? Because when you think about it, it's like, what is it causing, right? When you talk about minimum wage, the only thing that's going to affect, like, other stuff isn't going to change, right? It's like, okay, what happens if they increase minimum wage from, like, realistically, right? Let's talk about this realistically. Minimum wage is $7.25. Now, Walmart employees make $17. What happens if you raise the minimum wage from $7.25 to $15? Well, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, then they're gonna pay people more, and that means all the prices are gonna go up. Okay, well, let's think about that. So you're saying, like, they have to pay people more because it's going from $7.25 to $15. Well, people who are already working are making $17. So if you raise minimum wage from $7.25 to $15, how are they going to have to pay people more? Because they're already making over minimum wage. Now, if a job was paying $7.25 and then minimum wage went up to $15, yeah, it would make all of that money go up. But that's not how the reality works. In reality, jobs pay like $15 an hour. And most jobs, every job basically should at least pay $15 an hour at the minimum. So when you're talking about it, say, okay, cool. So if they pay $15 an hour, and so if they pay $17, raising it to $15 is not actually going to do anything. Now, if you're like, oh, well, I want a pay raise if they increase my money. If they increase minimum wage, I deserve something. Yeah, they give you 50 cents and you'll be fucking happy about it. Like, realistically, they give you 50 cents and a pizza party, you're going to eat the pizza, and you're going to tell everybody you got a 50-cent raise, and it's amazing. You might be like, oh, they could have afforded more. But, you know, you'd be like, oh, but at least you got this. So it's like, okay, so it's not that big of a jump, right? It's not actually going to be changing anything realistically. And that's what people don't understand. Is like, places don't pay $7 an hour. The issue with the minimum wage being $7.25 an hour is that is what the world, like the government, is going off of. So, say if you're a stay-at-home mom and you have 2 kids and you are divorced, or you don't have or your husband died in a car wreck, and you have 2 kids, and minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. What happens when you try to go get food stamps? It's going to be like, oh, minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, but you make $15 an hour, so you're not eligible for food stamps for your 2 kids. Even though cost of living is $4,500 a month, and you only make $3,000. Like that is what happens of not changing minimum wage. That is realistically the only thing that is happening, is you are taking away benefits from like common people. So it's like, okay, so then it's like, all right, well then food stamps go to who? Well, then the only people who get food stamps, or the only people who can afford food stamps at that point, are people without jobs. Because jobs don't pay $7 anymore. So it's like, okay, because most jobs don't pay $7, the people who are going to be eligible are just people who don't have a job. So now instead of like helping the widowed mom of 2 kids get by, you're saying, no, fuck you. You have a job. You're not allowed to make money now. What do you mean? You're not allowed to have food stamps. What do you mean? You have 2 kids and a job. You're making $10 an hour. You don't qualify. You know, quit your job and then come back and you'll get food stamps. That is what it does. It hurts people in that way. But people don't want to do that. They want to say the bullshit of, oh, well, if there's a $10 raise to minimum wage, everyone has to make $10 more an hour. And that's not fucking reality. That's not how that works. You have to be a fucking idiot to think that. Like, that is just not feasible. Like, that's just not how it is. $10 minimum wage increase does not mean you get a $10 raise. Like, that's just what it is. It means if you made less than minimum wage, you now make the new minimum wage. If you made more than the minimum wage before it updated, congratulations, nothing changed. Like, that's realistically, nothing changed unless the company wanted to throw you $1 or $2. Like, that's it. And they don't have to, because they already pay more than minimum wage. Nothing says they have to pay you more just because minimum wage went up when you already made more than minimum wage. That's not how that works. Stop being a fucking idiot. Like, that's just how it is. But people don't want to do that. They want to argue because they don't understand how business works. They don't understand the actual changes of the ecosystem. They don't understand how inflation works. They don't understand how corporate greed works. They don't understand how business works. Like, they're talking shit because they don't have an education. Or they think they're the smartest people in the world while they flip burgers at McDonald's. These people aren't CEOs. Like, they don't know how to, like, they're not doing this. And if they are CEOs, they're crappy ones. They don't pay. Like, how many times has, like, we've seen, you know, all the, like, these big CEOs argue about it when while they actually pay a fair wage, right? So, how many oldie CEOs that are paying their people like $19, $22 an hour who are arguing against an increase on a minimum wage from $7.25? I've never seen them, right? The only ones I see that are complaining are the CEOs of the ice cream shop that want to pay 15-year-old girls $7 an hour while they make millions. Like, those are the only people I see complaining. I don't see the jobs that are paying people $17, $19 an hour arguing about increasing the minimum wage from 7 to 15. They're not, because they know it doesn't matter. Like, you know, the only thing that matters is it might, like, ruin some of their tax benefits. Like, you know, that's it. It won't look as good, right? That's why they argue. It's like, okay, cool. It's like, well, you think about it, it's like, oh, well, what do you mean, like, it won't look as good? Well, if you think about it, say if you're at an Amazon and you pay your people $19 an hour, you could tell people, oh man, we pay people $10 above minimum wage. Or we pay people $12 above minimum wage. We're an amazing business to work for. Right? That's what you can say. That is your benefit right there. Your bragging rights that you pay so much more. If minimum wage went from from $7.25 to $17 an hour, guess what? You can't no longer brag that you pay people $12 above minimum wage. You brag you pay people $1 more than minimum wage. And that's not a brag. That's just being dumb. So that is the only issue with that kind of stuff. And just people who don't understand any of this are the ones that have the issue. Right? It's like you don't see people who have an experience in, who deal with this shit in the real world. You don't see blue collar managers complain about this. Unless if they're uneducated. Like, if they've gone to like business school and they've done this shit, like they know. Like they know like how that works. And it's so annoying. Like, there's that saying, it's like, the smarter somebody is, the more miserable they are. And it's it's realistic, right? Because if you look at it, it's like, okay, well, why is that? Because they understand more of how everything goes on. Ooh, this was apparently an important person. It's a crafting spec. Cool. But they're apparently, like, they know more about how the world works. And when they see more about how the world works, it's depressing. Because when you see, like, okay, it's like, yeah. If you're just someone, you're like, oh, man, it sure is annoying that Walmart keeps moving their stuff around. Oh well. I guess they thought it looked better over here. And that's if they don't know better, that's their thought. They're like, oh man, they must have just wanted a change of scenery. Oh man, it's annoying that it's doing that, but I guess I'll get over it. And, now if you think that, I'm not saying it's bad to be incompetent. Like, in many ways, it's better because a lot of times, the more like ignorant or naive you are, the happier you are. And that's just how it is, right? So when you're looking at it, it's like, okay. It's like, all right, well, we have this. And you're like, oh man, it sure is annoying that they moved it, but I guess they wanted to change the scenery. Oh well, that's fine. I hope they like their layout better now. They're just like going through like, oh man, that's annoying, but okay. And they have that mindset. And it's, that's a better mindset than if you know the real reason. So, like, the real reason they actually move the stuff around. So let's talk about that. So if you're going into a grocery store and you're like, oh, I wonder why they keep moving everything around. It is because statistically speaking, the more they move something around, the more you have to look for it, which means you will see stuff that you are not normally prone to get. And since you are looking at something that looks interesting that you're not prone to get, you notice stuff that you weren't looking for before, and it makes you wonder about it, and you have a higher chance of picking something up new that you wouldn't have gotten before. That is what it is. That is exactly what it is. So if you're like, okay, cool. I would have never, like, I'm looking for pizza rolls, but they moved them. And now there's just these queso bites. I've never had queso bites. I don't even know if they're any good. I might as well get them and try them. So then you buy them, and then you're like, oh, well, these are okay, or these aren't good. And you went for pizza rolls, but you end up buying queso bites and pizza rolls. Because they put the queso bites in the pizza roll section. And they moved to pizza rolls, and now you're like, you were wondering, so you tried it. Like, that is what the money's for. Like, a lot of times, if you're looking for something and it's a high seller, like certain barbecue sauces, like Sweet Baby Ray's, like the spicy barbecue, that's going to be on either the bottom or the second to last shelf, or it's going to be on the very top. It's not going to be eye level. The eye level stuff is the stuff that doesn't sell very good. The stuff on the top and the stuff on the bottom are the high sellers. Why? Because you look eye level first, no matter what aisle you're in. So when you look eye level first, you're going to be like, oh, I've never seen this before. And you're going to buy new stuff that you've never tried. They're going to make more money from it. You're going to have a new thing to add to your thing, your service. And then, you know, you just spent more money. And the way they got that money, they rearranged the shelves, right? It's like, okay, I know every time, like, you walk in, you're like, all I eat is frozen pizza. I don't get anything else. I eat frozen pizza and I buy Pepsi. All right, cool. You have that kind of mindset. You know, frozen pizza's in aisle 2. You know your Pepsi's in aisle 13. You walk in the store, you go to aisle 2, you get your pizza, you go to aisle 13, you get the Pepsi, and then you leave. Cool. You walk in, you go to aisle 2, sausage pancake on a stick. Well, that's not pizza. Where's my pizza? Those look interesting though. Well, I'll grab a box. And then you're like, oh shit. I'll walk over to frozen aisle 3. And then you're like, oh, Smuckers. Uncrustables. I remember those when I was a kid. I'll pick up a box. But that's not pizza. And then you walk all the way back to aisle 1. And you're like, there's my pizza. And then you buy your pizza. And it's like, cool. You walked in for pizza. But now you bought 3 things you weren't, or 2 other things you weren't expecting with the pizza. Now you're like, all right, cool. I'm going to go walk over to 14 and get some Pepsi. You walk over to 14 and it's like, oh shit, there's fucking apple juice. You're like, oh man, I haven't had apple juice in forever. You pick up a bottle of apple juice and then you walk to 15 because you're looking for Pepsi. And then it's like, oh shit, no, it's orange juice. Well, that seems interesting. I might as well get some orange juice or Kool-Aid or something. And then you walk to aisle 16 and there's your Pepsi and you get Pepsi. So then you walked in the store to get 2 items. And you're walking out of the store getting 7 or 8. That is why they move stuff around. That is the whole reason why they move stuff around. Like, that is what it is. Same thing. It's like when you talk about like you walk into the store, you're like, oh man, it sure is nice to get these free samples. You walk in, you're like, oh man, look, they have little like tiny Vienna sausages that are barbecue. That's interesting. I never had the barbecue ones. I might as well try one of those real quick. And then you're like, oh man, this is great. It's so nice of them to put out free samples for us to try to see if we like the product. And that is naivety being bliss. That is incompetence is bliss right there. You walk in, you see the free samples, you're like, that's so nice. That's so polite. You go to Kroger, they give your kid a free banana. Oh, that's so polite. That's so nice of them. They gave my kid a free banana. That's great. It's not nice. They didn't give it to you to try it. That's not what it is. They did not give you free food so you can be like, oh man, I want to try this and I'm going to go buy one. That's not why they gave it to you, right? You want to know the secret? So the reason we put out free samples is so you can actually, it makes you hungry. You're like 70% more likely to buy shit you don't need when you are hungry than when you are full. So if you that's why people say don't go to the grocery store hungry. You're more likely to buy more stuff you don't want if you go to the grocery store while you're hungry. And what is by giving you free samples, what we can do as managers is the smell in the air is making you hungry. Putting something on your stomach and your stomach's like, oh, I want more. Give me something else. It gives you that hungry feeling. So when you walked in the store and you weren't hungry, but now you smell the baked bread, you smell the honey cooked chicken, you smell the rotisserie, you try the little sausages, or you try a little like a little biscuit or a little cupcake or something. Well, now you got something on your stomach that's making you kind of rumbly. You're feeling a little hungry now. All the smells in the air and a little something you tried, now you want more of. So now what are you going to do? Well, we made you hungry. And now that we made you hungry, you're 70% more likely to buy shit you don't need. Yeah, you walked in for a frozen pizza and Pepsi. But, oh man, you're hungry. What the fuck do you do when you're hungry? You're going to go buy some Pringles. You're going to buy some Goldfish. It's like, oh, cool. Maybe you'll go get a rotisserie chicken for dinner. Hell, you might as well get some popcorn chicken for snack on a ride home. Might as well do that, right? Like, you know what also sounds good? When's the last time you had pancakes? You smell the syrup in the air? You might as well go get some pancake mix. Go get some syrup. It's like, it makes you hungry for a reason. It's not to be nice. Like, that's not what it's for. Okay, we need 37 purple. So let's go ahead and craft. So, like, it's not what it's for at all. Like, it is not it's not a positive for you. You look at the positive because you don't know the real reason for it. And yeah, it's great, right? Hold on. Let me upgrade this. Now we only need purple. See? Sweet. But yeah, you look at the reason and you're like, oh man, now we're hungry because we got all this food for free. And that's great. And it made you hungry and now you bought stuff. Nothing is like, everything says like stuff is just simple. Not everything needs to be thought out. No, like when it comes to business, money, like retail, grocery, that stuff is thought out. It's not simple. None of it is simple. Like, we thought of it all. Like, when I was in the manager position for Walmart, they made me go to what they call the academy. The academy it was like 3 weeks straight of learning how to manipulate people for profit. Like, that is what it was. It was a course on how to manipulate people for the most amount of profit possible. Like, you know, it's not anything else. It's just that. I have so much money. This is Stalker. Let's just buy the next Stalker. So, you know, you got to think about that stuff. You don't have to if you don't want to, but not everything is point blank. Like, hold on, what's this do for me? Ricochet damage? I don't even have ricochet. Recoil. Intelligence attuned. Smart damage. Reloading empty weapon causes next shot. That's as good, I guess. But, you know, you don't have to think about that shit. But if you don't know what it is, anything about that, don't say you do and pretend like you do. Because most of the time you're not. Like, you don't know. Like, most of the time. So, automatically heals you. Technical attuned. Fully charged. 7% melee. 13 stamina. Plus 5 health when you neutralize an enemy. You deal minus 90% poison damage, but gain plus 10% damage against poison enemies. I think I'll do this. Oh, I already had one of those equipped. But you know, that's what it is. It's not anything else. Like, you gotta take that in effect. Like, I know a lot of people are going to say like they don't know or they don't care or they're just going to ignore it. But it's like, the world's not like that. Right? If someone's telling you anything else, they don't know what they're talking about. Somebody who has 17 years of management experience where we have to do this, like, we are required to make money from you. Like, there's a lot more coming into it than anyone else. Oh, fuck. I wanted to buy more. So, you know, it is what it is, but still, a lot of people don't know, or they don't have a real management position. They have like a fake management position. Like, they're making $8 at Pizza Hut. Like, it's like that kind of shit. I don't want movement speed. Headshot damage will take. I don't want slow time. Don't want slow time. I don't want movement speed. I guess that works. Because that stops in combat. Carry capacity. That's cool. Oh, we don't have enough fucking cybernetic room now. Alright. We did good upgrades. But yeah, I get so tired of people not talking about, like, they don't know anything what they're talking about. And that's the thing, it's like, just because somebody is in a position of, like, CEO, doesn't mean they know what they're talking about, right? Anyone can be a business owner. Like, fuck, look at Phoenix Resale. Phoenix Resale lives in my area. And he just goes to pawn shops and buys games, and then he sells them on Amazon. That is what he does, right? It's not that impressive. He's technically a CEO of Phoenix Resale. He is a CEO. Now, the thing about it is, because it's resale, he understands business a lot. Like, he understands business more than that manager of Taco Bell, right? Because a manager at Taco Bell doesn't really need to know anything. Taco Bell kind of handles everything. Now, if they're like corporate at Taco Bell, or if they are told everything by, like, if they're like, maybe a store manager will know more, but all this kind of stuff, the reason that like Walmart management have a better idea of how stuff is when you're it depends on kind of manager, right? If you are in Walmart is ran based off of different areas. So when you have your area, you are told that you are a sole manager of said area. You set the prices, you set the deals, you set the displays, and all of that, right? You are the one that controls that. Now, when it comes down to it, when you have the, like, you can control all this stuff, I mean, like, they give you, like, they tell you where to move stuff, like, when you do planograms, because they know, hey, we need everything moved, and we're going to move it. They'll tell you why they're moving it. Like, they're like, oh, because we want increased sales on this item or this item. So if we move the cashews down, and we put peanuts in their case, more people buy peanuts with the cashews rather than just cashews. So that's why, they'll tell you that's why they're making you move it. However, they'll move it where they think it's going to get the most sales. That is based specifically off of their investigatives and their research on how to get the most profit out of people. But they'll also send you ideas. So you'll get like a newsletter. And part of the job as a manager was we were supposed to go to other stores and check their prices. And if they have a better price than us, then we're supposed to like sell, like do an upgrade on the prices, right? I'm distracted. Burn out that guy. Okay, so. Ooh. He's got a crafting specs as well. So they'll tell you why, but they'll give you like a thing. So you'll have your idea. Who the fuck is over here? Okay, that was weird. Yeah, so they'll give you a thing. They're like, hey, blueberries are in season. You should probably mark them down because they're gonna make a lot of money, and you should probably put them on display. And then ultimately, you don't have to. Like, you can do that. It's the same thing. Like, you'll have like the Amish, right? So you can have an Amish people come in, and you get produce from the Amish. So the difference is like we might pay like 25 cents for an ear of corn from like the distribution center, and that's just normal corn from like Indiana or whatever. So we sell those for like $1. But when the Amish comes in, we can buy Amish corn from them, and we can get it for like 10 cents an ear. So it's like cool. It's local and all that stuff. So you would think, oh, since we got 10 cents, it's gonna be lower than $1, right? Because it costs us less. No, that's not how that works. So then it's like, oh well, but because it's organic and it's Amish, you could put that sign that says organic Amish and grown locally, and now you could charge $3, and more people will buy it because it's organic and it's local and it's Amish. So that's kind of the stuff that you can deal with there. So it's a lot of back and forth on as far as like what you can do, what you can't do, blah blah blah. But they give you that of like, oh, this is what you should do. But ultimately, it's your choice on doing this stuff, as long as you keep bringing in a profit. If you keep bringing in a profit, you're still going to keep your position, and you're going to keep doing it. That's why like management can change the price to anything they want, as long as they are not taking a loss. So if we pay 25 cents for an ear of corn, I can.
Hey, Maelstrom's got a cyber
Where is this person supposed to be at?
I want him alive, so really try here.
I don't even know where this person is. Oh, because it wasn't showing me.
And be
Okay.
careful.
Oh well. I'm gonna ignore it.
Crazy.
Uh,
Psychosis or not.
So if we bought corn for 25 cents an ear, or like an ear of corn, I can mark it down as low as 25 cents without management, like without store director approval. And I can just do that. Now, that's what the whole thing of like, I was supposed to go to other stores like Kroger and Meijer, and I was supposed to check how much they're selling stuff. So if they got turkey for $2 a pound, then it's like, okay, cool, I'll keep that in mind. And then when I go back to my store, I should be like, okay, so I should undercut like Meijer by a penny at least. So I'll do $1.99 a pound. And it's like, cool. But they'll also tell you like, don't do solid numbers. So you might think, okay, like if I sell something for $1.99, it's going to do worse than if I sell something for $1 even. And that's not the case, because, or we'll use different, like, so if you sell something for $2 even, or you can sell it for $2.99. The thing that is $2 even sometimes is not going to do better than the $2.99, because the 0.99 number, or like if you do it really often, like you do 0.72, oh man, people are going to eat that up and they're going to buy the shit out of that. Even if it's 72 cents more than what you wanted to sell it for, it's because it's a point whatever. More people are going to buy it. It's something to do with like, you feel like you're getting a better deal, even though we know you're not. It's just kind of, it's weird. But it is, oh no, I don't want to do this one. That's the hard one. But yeah, that's just some of the stuff you gotta think about in business. So like if I go back and I'm like, okay, cool. So I like to do $1.98. I usually do like 2 pennies down from what the competitor sells. So if I do like turkey for $1.98, other people, they'd be like, okay, we're better than Meijer. So I can actually write on a sign, cheapest in town, $1.98 a pound, because it's true, you know, technically, and all of that stuff, and we can, you know, do it that way. It's just. Cool. And then, if we bought that for $1.70 a pound, I could go as low as $1.70, but I still want to get my profits higher, right?
Hey, Judy, what's up?
Hey, can you come over, Stat?
Something happened?
All right, we'll do that next episode. But yeah, you know, I can go down to $1.70, but I still want profits for my store or whatever. So, you know, I'll do the $1.98 because it's still true. It's still gonna make profit, and it's gonna make more profit. Now, if we bought that turkey for $2 a pound, and I wanted to sell it to $1.98 a pound, I'd have to ask the store director to approve it. And when I do that, I'd have to be like, okay, I'd be like, Meyer sells it for $2 a pound. I want to sell for $1.98 a pound. It's going to be lower in profits, right? It sucks. However, I can then say, but cranberry sauce, Myers is selling for $3 a can, and we buy it for $1.50 a can. And I said we could sell that for, you know, we can raise that up, and we could do, so if we sell it for, you know, say if we sell it for $2 a can, we can raise it to $2.50. We're still undercutting Meyer, but we're increasing our profits a lot more. And the money we'll make from selling the cranberry sauce will overweigh the money we're losing from selling the turkey. And because we have the cheapest turkey, people are going to come in and they're willing to spend more money on other stuff around the turkey because it's more convenient to get everything at one place. So that's some of the stuff you got to think about when you're running like your store. And that's just some of the stuff that you can do. Some of the ways that we like kind of go around like actually making our sales and all of that kind of shit. It's just a lot to it. Give me this. But yeah, none of it's simple as people say it is. And, you know, a lot of the time it's like, we have to make, you know, the sales and all that shit. I don't work at Walmart anymore. Obviously, because I talked about the unemployment thing. But, they weren't the ones that did the unemployment. I actually walked out from Walmart. And it's unfortunate, too. So, we had 16 managers walk out on the job. And then we ended up having just me. And you would think, okay, well, they need to hire more people or whatever. Because they had 16 managers walked out. I ended up having to do, it was, because originally I was supposed to only do produce. That was my designated area. But we had 16 people walk out. And then we had 3 people on the fresh cap team was sick. And they were put on leave for like 3 months at a time. And then we had 2 managers that were allowed to go on vacation for a month and a half straight. And we had 1 manager that that had cancer and she was hospitalized. Okay. Yeah. None of their issues, like none of their fault. Walmart should have been like, okay, we're going to make some upgrades and we are going to end up making things right. And that's what they should have done. Overclock. Do this one. And they should have just hired more people. Or they should have asked help from another store. But they didn't go that route. How do I... No. And what it ended up being is really unfortunate. So... while I was only supposed to do produce, I ended up having to do deli, produce, bakery, meat department, frozen, dairy, grocery, GM, and online pickup. Now, I still had to do my job, which was 40 to 48 hours a week. But I also had to do all of their jobs, which is 40 to 48 hours a week. So I had to do inventory, I had to do planogram, I had to do pricing, for every one of those departments. And I told him, it's like, hey, after 2 months of doing it, I was like, with no extra pay benefits or anything, I was like, you need to have somebody else here to help out, at least 1 or 2 other people. And then they're like, because we had no team like anymore, and we had no managers. It was like 2 other managers other than myself. And I told the store director, like, we have to get stuff going on. The store director was like, I don't feel like helping. And they would just ignore it. So I gave him, it's like, all right, I no longer work here in 1 month if we do not have help. I was like, this is my 1 month notice. And then, so I gave him a month notice. And then after the 3rd month, they didn't actually have any help. and they didn't do anything. So I was like, all right, yeah, I gave you a month notice, and you know, you didn't do anything. I'm gone. So I just walked out, and I took like 6 months off, and I just kind of relaxed and did whatever. And that is kind of what I did, and I got out of that position. And then I ended up going to another store. But I didn't want to deal with that management shit again to run an entire store. So, you know, I told them I didn't want to do a manager position, but they kind of forced me into it. So it's like, whatever, I'll just do that for a while. And then that's when they fired me for the LGBT thing, like 5 years later. Right? Some like crazy bullshit, annoying bullshit. Shit that didn't even count me. But it is what it is. Now, if they would have just hired, like, if they would have had people to begin with, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But I do know, because I was told by the other managers, because I'm friends with them still. They're on Facebook or whatever. They actually messaged me, and the other managers messaged me when they got back from their vacation. And they're like, oh shit, we didn't expect you to stay so long. And then because they came back like the day after the inventory before I quit. Right? Or like the day after, yeah, the inventory from the day after I quit. So I quit purposefully. My 1 month notice ended the day before inventory was due for all of the departments. I was like, yeah, I told you 1 month. You didn't want to get help. I'm not doing inventory. I'm not there. I was like, I don't work there anymore. My month is over. And the store director had to go do the job with the other ones, and they called the other two that had been on vacation at that point for like 3 months at that time, because they ended up taking an extended unpaid vacation along with it. And they did that for so long, they were called back in to actually work. And even though I gave them 1 month notice,
Hey, V. How's things? Still alive? Hope so, because I got a new gift
Okay.
for you. You got a clever recording of a Maelstrom initiation. Want to know more?
but I gave them 1 month notice, and they called those people in and all that shit. So the managers told me, like, they messaged the ones I'm friends with, and they were like, oh yeah, it's like, that's crazy. They made, like, they're like, yeah, we were told by the store director that they made you do all this shit, and they said you were ungrateful and didn't stay because of it. And it's like, well, that's not, no. Like, why would I be grateful that I had to do 15 people's work? Like, that's not how that works. That's stupid. So it's all kind of bullshit. But even though I gave them a 1 month notice, they decided, because they were so mad about it, that they just like, oh, well, we don't have to take your 1 month notice. We're going to ignore it and just say you didn't give us a notice. I was like, I did give a notice, and I have it written down that I gave you the notice, and I have it on video. And they're like, we know, but we're going to ignore it, and we're going to tell every other location that you didn't give us a notice, and there's nothing you could do about it, and we're going to blacklist you. And it was that kind of like petty bullshit. And I was like, whatever, I don't fucking care. So that is just what happened with that. But I don't know. Life sucks sometimes. They don't make it easier. They make it worse a lot of the time. But it's just that petty shit, like, they're treating people like crap on purpose. There's also that misconception where you could tell if a manager's a good manager or not based on, like, how they feel on, like, what a manager is. So let's talk about that for a second while we're doing this. So if you are a manager, if you have a manager, okay, we can just open this with our mind. Say if you have a manager. If your manager says a manager is supposed to just tell people what to do, and they are supposed to boss people around, and they are supposed to be feared. That person does not have any management experience outside of that position, that they were probably given as their first management position, and they don't know what they are talking about. And that is not what a manager is. A manager is not supposed to be feared. A manager is supposed to be loved. And any manager who says they're supposed to be feared has no idea what they're talking about. Any manager that's supposed to just boss you around, they don't know what they're talking about. That is not what a manager's position is. And I'll give you like an example as far as like some of that stuff. So, if I have mentally handicapped people on my team, or if people have ADHD, or if people who are bipolar, or so on, any mental illness and that kind of shit. If we know that, or if we can suspect it, we are not supposed to be, we're not supposed to be like the fear, they must fear us to roll and all that shit. We're supposed to be friends, and the reason for that is we're supposed to help people out when they struggle. We're supposed to be friends, because if you help somebody out when they struggle, they're going to stay a lot longer, right? They're going to be happier, it's going to be a better work environment, and they're going to stay. I'm like, a manager should always defend the team. At the end of the day, if a member of your team is not doing something correctly, it is because you did not manage them correctly. That's what it is. If the team member is too slow, it is because you did not give them a reason to be faster, or you did not give them the means to be faster. You can say all you want, or you can disagree all you want, but that is fact. That is just how it is. Anyone can be trained to do anything. If they are not being able to complete what you want them to do, it is because they have not been trained. They have not been trained correctly. So if you are a manager and that falls in your case, I'm sorry you have to find out this way, but you are a very bad manager. I don't care if it is a 7-year-old, a 18-year-old, or a 56-year-old. If you are a good manager, they can be trained to do what you want, how you want them to do it. Now, when it comes to management, you don't tell people, hey, stop doing it that way. It's stupid. Do it my way. And I've seen managers say that. They're like, you're doing it too slow. Do it this way. It's better. That's not what you do. You don't do that kind of output, right? You're making them feel bad for no reason. That's just a shitty thing to do. They're not going to like it there. They're not going to like you. And they're not going to be someone you can count on. Because now you just gave them a reason to call in. And all of this kind of shit. I mean, that's upstairs. So you gotta take that in mind, right? What you want to do is like I was saying, if we have somebody who's like mentally handicapped, or you suspect them of being mentally handicapped, okay. If you have someone who struggles, and you know when they're having a really bad day, they are going to be less efficient. All right. So what you do as a manager is when you talk to someone, you talk to them. You be buddy-buddy. Because if you're a buddy with somebody, they're more likely to tell you what's going on. Right? If you are an asshole, they're not going to tell you shit. They're just going to ignore it. Or they're just going to go against somebody else. So you're not going to know what's going on. Holy shit, dude. No. Holy shit. They all ran out as soon as I got done with that. So the way that works is like... Oh my god. Alright. That should be good. If I know somebody, like, if you're friends with your people, you're going to have somebody come in, and if they're friends with them, they're going to be like, hey, how are you doing today? If they're not friends with you, they're going to be like, okay, alright, it's going. Or they're going to say that bullshit that doesn't matter. That's what people do. Or they're going to be nice to say it. And then, or you can say, like, if you notice they're, like, upset or something, you can be like, oh man, what's wrong? If they're not your friend, they're going to say, oh, nothing, or it doesn't matter. If you are a manager and you're friends with your people, and you say, oh man, you look a little down, what's wrong? And they could be like, oh man, my cat died. they're going to say stuff if you're friends. Like, they're not going to share shit with people they don't care about. But if you're friends with them, they're going to share shit. Like, and you're going to be your friends. And if you know that person does not work well when they are stressed or upset, then I know, okay, cool, man. Oh shit, his cat died. That's horrible. He's going to be really torn up about this. I'll be like, all right, man. I'm staying an extra hour. I'm going to get some extra stuff done for you, so you don't have to worry about it. It's all good. Just take your time and chill. You know, I hope everything is going to go better. Hopefully you'll have, like, a better day next time. It sucks. Sorry about your loss and all that stuff. And you can just say all that stuff. That is what you do. And that is because I know it's like, yeah, I know they're going to be this way. So I'm going to give them help. And they're going to be like, oh, man, I really appreciate the help. You didn't have to, but you did. You stayed, and that was awesome. They're going to be happier. And they're going to be more friendly, and they're going to tell you more that's going on. And you're going to be able to determine if stuff is going to get done. Now, you do this because you're a nice person, and yes, it sucks. You want to be a nice person. You want to be liked. You want to be friends with the people. Okay, yeah, that is one reason why you do it. But that is not the only reason why you are nice to people, and that's not the only reason. There is a benefit to it. So when I'm doing this, when I'm saying like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm being nice, I'm being like legit. But I'm also doing a job, right? As a manager, I am determining the state of mind my people are in, so I can determine how well I believe they're going to get their job done. And at the end of the day, if I know that something is going to mess that up and they may not be able to do it, then I need to put in some due diligence and I need to help them so they can get done. Because at the end of the day, if the stuff in the job is not done, it's not their fault, it's my fault for being the manager and for not being able to see that beforehand. Right? That is what it is. Now, if you don't have, like, a lot of people will just ignore that, they don't care. But that's just, it is what it is. That is how that is. I'm trying to see if this blue is outside or upstairs. I think it's outside. This blue X on the map. So, I don't know. If you have that... If you have that mindset, like, you have to use that kind of thing. So that is, it's way more about being, like, it's not about bossing people around and being a rude person, all that shit. There is reason to be liked and be a good person. Like, it has benefits to the job itself. That's why people who say, like, you don't have to be nice to them, or you don't have to be friends with them, you need to be feared. That's why they don't get shit done. How many times have you seen, like, you walk into a store and it looks like shit, or nothing's stocked correctly, or everything's in back stock, and all of this other shit? It's because they didn't do their job correctly. They rode with fear, and then the people were like, oh, well, we don't care. Like, why should we try for you? Why should we worry about getting this stuff done? You're nobody. You don't mean anything. And that's the stuff you gotta watch out for. Because that is just what it is. Like, that is how people think. And as you need to argue that. Like, that's why, like, those managers aren't good. That's why, like, when I ran my, like, section, I had the #1 I had the most profit in the country for my store. Like, that's... Enjoying the weather? Yeah. And it took 3 months to get to that. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, other people... Why can't other people do that? And I'm not doing anything different. I'm doing stuff like how it's supposed to be done. But a lot of people didn't take it seriously. Like, they didn't just go like, oh, well... they're like doing the bare minimum, right? They're like, oh, well, it's the bare minimum, and we just got to do whatever, and we can chill. And it's no. All right, let's see what we have here. We have reboot, so let's unequip that for this reboot, and let us disassemble this one. we have this one here. So we'll unassemble that. We will unequip this for this Nintendo for this, and we can disassemble this. Memory wipe is good. We'll have that. Sonic shock, short circuit we do have here, so we'll unequip and we'll equip short circuit. That's what I always keep. All right, so short circuit, disassemble. Weapon glitz is the only one we have, so we'll keep it now. Sonic shock. We have a blue one of it, and then cyberware malfunction. I kind of want to disable movement could come in handy with that cyber psychos though. I don't know if that's better or if the cyberware malfunction is better. And then this is disables enemy movement. And cyberware that supports movement and dodging. Okay. Yeah, we'll keep this. Yeah, we're not changing that, so that doesn't matter. I don't know, it is what it is. That looks stupid. We'll equip that. No, that looks stupid. I want sunglasses. I don't think we got sunglasses yet. But yeah, there's a lot to it. And that's kind of the issues with everything. Life sucks sometimes, you know? If you watch this thing, that's crazy, to be honest. But hopefully it gave you some ideas. I kind of want to make a channel just talking about shit, but then again, it's like, who's gonna watch it? Probably more people who'd watch just Let's Plays, to be honest. Especially since I do 2002 or 2010 style Let's Plays. But that's what I like to watch on YouTube. Like, I watch 2010 style Let's Plays. I watch classic PokeTubers. Why would I want to, like... I don't want to watch all that, like... Guess who the freaking starter is? By the shape of its face. I don't care. I want to watch somebody play through Let's Go Pikachu. I want to watch somebody play through Violet. That's just what I want. But not everybody wants to do that. I understand. If you do want to do it, welcome to the channel. But if you don't want to do that, I understand. I have a review channel. I'm going to start posting more. But I do want to make a life channel or finance channel, whatever you want to call it. It must be like life and finance. But it is what it is. I can give, like, you know, management experience and all that shit. Like, use my 17 years of management experience. And I've gotten this question a lot. People say I'm in, like, my fucking early 20s and shit. I'm in my mid to late 30s, dude. Like, I know it doesn't look like it, but yeah. I've been working since I was 15. Been on my own since I was 15. And I've been a manager for 17 years now. It's a lot. But... just different takes. If anyone wants to know anything, let me know in the comments. I hope this was at least a little interesting. It's a long video. But I hope it's actually interesting because it's a reason that we could just go straight to do a lot of police stuff. It's just talking about this. I hope it gave some kind of good context as far as a reason to watch this than just going straight to doing odd jobs that don't really matter a lot. Or just go here, kill them, leave, go here, kill them. I hope it gave some type of value. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that subscribe button down below. It helped me out a lot. I will see you all next time. Don't forget to game like a god. Peace.